States, better known as ECOWAS, has faced major tests in recent years. Military coups have stalled regional integration and growing pressure to defend democracy across the region. Since July 2022, a new leadership team has been steering the bloc with the promises of reform and shared prosperity. But with their term set to end in July 2026, how much progress has really been made? And what challenges still lie ahead? To unpack that, we're joined from London by Global Affairs Analyst Paul Ejime. Good evening, Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Thabiso, for having me.
Paul, it's been just over 2 years since the current ECOWAS leadership came in. Would you say the region is in a better or a worse place today?
Yeah, actually, 3 years going to 4 because the mandate of the commission is usually the new president and then vice president and then 5 commissioners is 4 years. So they started in July 2022, like you said. It's been, a roller coaster kind of progress or movement, if you ask me. Because remember, this commission headed by Gambian diplomat and development expert Dr. Umar Aliu Ture came in inheriting the fact that by 2020 the military coup had happened in Mali, and then followed by Guinea and then Burkina Faso, and lately, and then lastly Niger. So already the coup bug has already beaten the region, and in quick succession, the 4 countries followed in. So that was the context. I mean, I think it's good to put it in context that was when the Toure-led commission management took over. And it's been one mixed step or the other, particularly in handling the military coup in Niger. I think ECOWAS, they were kind of trying to make sure that they roll back on this, but in the process, mistakes were made because they didn't follow the protocols in trying to arrest the situation in Niger. Instead of following protocol in using some soft carrot, what we call carrot and stick. They came with the stick, the heavy stick, wanting to use military intervention, which was unpopular. And what it did was that now it toughened the position of the coup makers, that so much so that 3 of the countries decided to leave ECOWAS: Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. The junta there formed what they call the Alliance of Sahel states. And so they have left. Efforts are still being made to bring them back. But ECOWAS is still struggling from the past more than a decade from this issue of insecurity, peace, and then governance. The fact that democracy appeared to be on the decline, not being consolidated, because the civilians, the politicians, were routinely violating the constitutions of their countries or changing them, and then rigging elections, changing a lot of things that were in violation of ECOWAS protocols. And ECOWAS found itself incapable or unable to arrest the situation or call these leaders call them to order. And that was what actually led to this the military takeovers. But this is not to say that military rule is the answer to governance in Africa or West Africa. But because the civilians have failed to play by the rules, the military now saw that as an excuse. It remains to be seen whether they will provide a solution, because we have seen it. They will, after all this rigmarole of transition, they will still go back and hold elections, maybe perpetuate themselves in power. The reason the three countries left is really because they do not want ECOWAS to call them, to question, because they know that ECOWAS has this protocol on, what is it called? Lack of, unconstitutional change of governments. There is a protocol on that, a protocol on a supplementary protocol on democracy and good governance. It has a zero tolerance for change of government other than through constitutional means. But again, like I said, the civilians to themselves, is not only military rule that is change of government, unconstitutional. The civilians have been engaging in constitutional coups themselves, and then ballot coups. So it's a case of the kettle calling whatever black. So it's a muddled up situation.
So Paul, what would it take for ECOWAS to actually claim its rightful position in that region? Because for some time now, we are aware of the political instability besetting the West, and obviously other superpowers emerging, coming in. So, we see a lot of division. And what would it take for ECOWAS to really become that staunch body in the region?
So it will take a visionary leadership. It will take dynamic leadership. It will take leaders holding on to principle stance. That was how ECOWAS managed to distinguish itself from all the other, 7 regional economic communities. Because let's face it, today ECOWAS is being judged by its own standard that it set, which was that it was the one regional economic community that was ahead of the others in terms of conflict prevention, management, and resolution. It was able to settle wars, end wars in Liberia and Sierra Leone, in Cote d'Ivoire, and then also had dealt with military coups in the past. But like I said, this erosion of leadership for the past, it wasn't so sudden. It took a while, gradually, and also given the situation in the international ecosystem, the shift, geopolitical shift, and then with terrorism and all the other threats that came to disrupt, international peace, which ought to have given the leadership, it was a warning that this is the time. Generals are not made during peacetime. It is actually during wartime. So the leadership of ECOWAS ought to have reinvented themselves to be able to take on these challenges and not be found wanting. What has happened is that after performing to a very top level, the leaders dropped the ball by not, for instance, in Cote d'Ivoire, I think this was where it started. Cote d'Ivoire, the President Ouattara changed the constitution in 2016. And this year, he is going for what is called 4th term, and that in ECOWAS situation, region, they call it 3rd term syndrome. After he did that, Guinea, the president there, Alpha Conde, did it, and so on and so forth. Others have followed. In Senegal, Macky Sall wanted to try it, but he was kicked out. In Togo, Yadema is also trying that. In fact, he has changed the constitution, and the country is now running from presidential to parliamentary. Now he's the president of the Council of Ministers without term limitation. In Guinea-Bissau, the same thing. President Mbalo has suspended the constitution. The parliament is not working, and then there is no electoral commission is not, and then the judiciary is also under suspended animation. Or are you going to talk about the Gambia? Gambia, where you had a problem, there was an election in 2016 by the former president Yahya Jammeh that had ruled the Gambia for 22 years under dictatorship. But after he held an election in December 2016, he said he wasn't going to leave after the election results showed that he had lost. The man who took over, Adama Barrow, who was not on the ballot, but because the main opposition leaders then were in jail, they have been jailed by Yahya Jammeh. He took over, promised to run for 3 years. He ran for 5 years and has done 10 years. And next year, he's focusing on continuing by using the same constitution that Yahya Jammeh used. So these are the inconsistencies and violations that have made governance and leadership in ECOWAS, a very laborious and difficult situation that the citizens, more than 400 million of them, are no longer feeling the impact, whether at the national level or at the regional level. So it will require, some tough handling, dynamism, leaders at the commission, maybe after the Ture commission from July next year. So if they have a set of technocrats that will be able to, grab the bull by the horn and start to speak to the leaders, because it's the leaders that are causing these disruptions.
Still and on the thought of the leaders, Paul. Yeah. Still on the thought of the leaders. Here's another one that had been alarming, especially in this week, and even in the past week. Later on, we heard news that President Alassane Ouattara and Cameroon's President Paul Biya would like to run for another term. How does that affect ECOWAS, as well as given their age and isn't it that the world has shifted right now, whereby young people should be actually put at the helm and start being the ones that run the leadership process?
Well, that is what is promised, or what the politicians will tell you. But in reality, it's a different matter. Even now, Alassane Ouattara himself, when he was running for the third term, said it was time to give opportunity to the younger ones. But instead, he went back on his words and ran for the third term. He's 83. And then he has indicated just this week, like you said, that he's running. When the country goes, I think it's in October or September, he is going to run. And these are the questions that, but it's not really about whether their age or whatever. It is the fact that they are sit-tight presidents. They do not even when they are not performing. Well, in fairness to Alassane Ouattara, you will say that Côte d'Ivoire has, achieved some, development. But that is not the issue. You are not the only one. In a country of millions of people, democracy or whatever you call it, free, it's a free choice. Because when they do that, they stifle opposition. Either they are jailed or they are technically knocked out. That is what happens. Why don't you make it free for everybody to participate instead of, trampling on opposition or jailing them or making them to flee from the country? Paul Biya is not in ECOWAS, he's in Central Africa. But that is a common disease in Africa, where sit-tight syndrome, corruption is leading, and then nepotism or, favoring your own family and then a clique when the majority of the people are suffering. So that is why this disaffection is what is causing, the problem. You have people protests. It is when these civilians now protest and then they come heavy on them using military force to quell them. That is when the military will now come. So you will say, well, military is not wanted. But when you make peaceful change impossible, you are only cutting violent change. And who are the victims? Are really the citizens of this country, because some of them will die. These people that we are talking about, the political class, they have maybe dual citizenship. As soon as there is crisis, they run away. Their children or families are outside the country. Some of them even go out for medical checkups.
And we've seen that trend.
Not
we've seen
provided...
that trend, Paul. We've actually seen the trend coming out of the West. Now, with the current leadership's term ending in July 2026, what would you say are the top priorities that they need to tackle before then?
In ECOWAS, you mean?
Yes.
Yes. What will happen is that ECOWAS, they will now have to look at the kind of people that they are going to bring to the commission. Commission is a 7-member commission that will be made up of the president, the vice president, and then about 5 commissioners. So these are, because the commission is the one to provide guidance to the authority of heads of state. If the politicians are not following the rule, the protocol, the instruments, the text of ECOWAS, it is the duty of whoever is heading the commission to call the attention to it, because you cannot be violating your own rule. And the people at the commission are saying, but in fairness to them too, these politicians are ramming it over, on the head of. You need somebody who is independent thinking, and we have had some of them before in the past who were able to, for instance, decide that ECOWAS will not send observers to an election because the environment was not conducive to democracy. So that is the kind of, ECOWAS needs redemption. This is the time to really take it out of that morass and bring it to the level where it used to be, where everybody, I can tell you, Thabiso, do you know that every country or international organizations, when they accredit their ambassadors to Nigeria, they do is concurrent to ECOWAS. It shows that ECOWAS has been doing something good, but there is a lot that can be done in terms of harmonization of the rules, the free movement, and then central, customs union, and if they are also to benefit from the, African continental free zone, the trade that will come from there. ECOWAS needs to get its act together through effective leadership, through proactive leadership, through leadership that will stick to the law, through leadership that will care about the people and not themselves.
Definitely, Paul. I know, Paul, one thing about ECOWAS, you and I can go on and on and on, and I truly appreciated your time this evening. But lastly, before I let you go, Paul, congratulations, Paul Ejime. We extend our heartfelt congratulations to you on winning the ECOWAS Maiden Journalist Excellence Award in the print journalism category. Now, this prestigious honor is a testament to your decades-long dedication, Paul, to ethical reporting, compelling storytelling, and your unwavering commitment to truth and regional development. Your work continues to inspire journalists across Africa and beyond. Well done on this well-deserved recognition, Paul.
Thank you very much. I am humbled, and it means to do more. And I tell my colleagues that it's a collective honor that journalists will have a role to hold leaders accountable. Thank you very much for your kind words.
Thank you, Paul, for your time this evening. That was a Global Affairs Analyst Paul Ejime sharing insights on ECOWAS progress and ongoing challenges under its current leadership.
The pulse of the continent in 60 minutes. Stay informed and inspired with Africa World Hour on Channel Africa.